أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما. Welcome to MUS live webinar about Amazon Web Services. So inshallah this will be beneficial for everyone who has joined or who will be seeing this as a recording. So it is going live on Facebook and inshallah we will share it on YouTube as well. So the purpose of this webinar is introduction of AWS Cloud Services, AWS certification for your career, and how to avail AWS free credits for your company or charity or organization to host your website or other applications. So brother Akhil Raza, he will give us overview of all these services. So before I hand it over to him, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to raise your hand so we can unmute you. Otherwise, inshallah, we will take question and answers at the end of the sessions. Without wasting any further time, I'll hand it over to Akhil.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Mr. for giving me this chance to give an introduction about AWS because it's, I believe, trending in cloud market, and anyone who has interest in this field can learn about it, can do certifications. So I'm going to present my screen. Okay.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My name is Ec2 Raza, and I've been to this field since 8 years, mainly delivering web and mobile applications to different kind of clients all over the world. So I came to know about AWS about 3 years ago, and it really made my interest in this field. And this is really trending cloud these days. And in this presentation, I can give an broad overview of the cloud, and can try to basically can try to explain different topics in the AWS. So let's start with the presentation. So this is basically an overview of cloud, what cloud is, and how we can use it in different services. Cloud is basically on-demand delivery of compute power. What compute power means, like you actually rent a CPU or memory in a cloud, which you can use for your services, like on your server. Along with that, cloud actually provides databases. Databases is fundamental part of your web system. If you want to build a website, you need a database. So if you are storing some email list or something related to data, which is formulated in tables. So you need a database, and cloud actually provides on-demand databases. For example, if you need one database, like 20 GB of databases or 100 GB of databases, cloud provides it on-demand basis. Along with that, the fundamental component is storage for your web services. A cloud provides storages in different formats, and also it's on demand. Along with that, there are many other functionalities which cloud provides. For example, you need video streaming, you need GPUs, you need machine learning components, services related to robotics. There are about more than 100 services which cloud provides on demand these days. If we talk about cloud industry is really growing for the last 4 5 years. It's like entire life is about 10 to 15 years, but in recent 4 5 years it like really accelerated. And in 2020 it's like revenue or worth was 257 million billion dollars, and it's projected to be $835 billion in 2025. And this is like oh, uh, uh, this is about an exponential growth in like next few years. If we talk about the salaries which I took from internet, uh, in UK average salary for uh, cloud industry career is about 62,000 pounds, and in USA it's about 125,000 average salary. And this means like it's above than average developer salary, average software engineer salary. Okay, if we talk about AWS, it's Amazon Web Services. It's like subsidiary of Amazon, and obviously it is being used as a backend, as a like web hosting for Amazon e-commerce along with other major companies all over the world. And it's leading computing service. It has 32% market share all over the world, and it's like growing along with other clouds. It is a distributed cloud. uh, Distributed cloud means like it is hosted all over the world. It has about 24 regions in which their data center and warehouses are, and inside 24 regions there are like 77 availability zones. uh, and you can all these regions and availability zones are like interconnected. And this is the only cloud apart from Alibaba which is available in China too. uh, Amazon Web Services has about more than 170 services, which include like compute power, storages, databases, uh, video streaming, and a lot of other uh, services, which like people need in different sectors. Uh, GoDaddy, which is mostly used for domain purchases. It's an hosting website too. GoDaddy is basically using AWS at the back end, and also like services, uh, Netflix, services like Netflix, uh, Reddit, even Facebook uses AWS as their uh, backend server. And there are other like services like Twitter, Twitch, many other services who are using AWS as their backend. Uh, there are other clouds too apart from AWS. Google has their own cloud, which is called Google Cloud. Microsoft has their own cloud too, which is Microsoft Azure. But AWS trending, and if you like uh, get basic understanding on AWS or any other cloud, you can like quickly switch to um, other clouds too. The fundamental concepts of the clouds are kind of same. What is AWS? AWS basically are remote, you can say, uh, hosted CPUs, like in warehouses. You can get access to CPU, let's say 1 GB of CPU, 2 GB, 3 GB, whatever you want to get. You can just like select from their admin panel, and you can dedicate that CPU or RAM for your own use. Similarly, you can access storages in these remote clouds, and like their availability is about 99.99%. And because like they are distributed clouds, and their availability can be replicated. For example, you have one data in one warehouse, and you can replicate it to other region easily. Similarly, GPU is trending because of machine learning and cryptocurrency. Uh, these services provide like GPU based instances too. You can use remote GPUs to, for example, render your video, or even like use it for machine learning, or like complex algorithm. And also you have like routers which you can configure to access these kind of services on cloud, to basically access the above mentioned CPU, or like RAM or storage. You need network settings, and for that they provide like routers and other things which you can configure to access your uh, uh, data and compute power on the cloud. And also you can dedicate IPs. Uh, you can dedicate IPs to your virtual machines, and use these IPs to access the data on your remote servers. Okay, next topic is VPC. VPC is basically you can say the fundamental part of cloud on AWS. Whenever you make an account on AWS, you get a virtual private cloud of your own. Uh, Virtual private cloud has limit on, for example, how many number of CPUs or instances you can have, or like if is your instance private, or is it public. There are like about more than 100 configurations to adjust your VPC according to your need. This is something which you will get by default whenever you will like make account on your AWS. And region based, uh, one region has one VPC. And if you switch to new region on your cloud, you will get a new VPC. So one, if you want to transfer one VPC to another region, that is also possible. But one VPC is specific to one region on AWS. Okay, its main components are route tables. Route tables are basically tables which translate your network to the inside of VPC. For example, if you are trying to access one instance inside your VPC, then you will have one public IP, one private IP, and this route table will translate the public IP to the private IP inside the VPC. it, so this is, you can say, the fundamental part of uh, your services on AWS. And then there are internet gateways which control the traffic to your VPC. You can actually make it private, uh, like close all the public APIs, public IPs, and your cloud will become private, and you can run different processes on your private VPC. Elastic IPs, uh, in your VPC, you can actually associate. You can like purchase an IP and then associate the IP to certain instance. This IP can be static. You can purchase like multiple IPs and set those IPs in internet gateway. And for example, if all the IPs are hit, let's say 5 IPs you purchased, and you are trying to access 5 IPs, and they can link to one single service. Security groups this is an important part in the VPC because you can control which port or what kind of traffic you want to allow for a single instance. So moving on to next slide, which is EC2. EC2 is basically building block of your almost every service in AWS. It's, you can say, a virtual CPU uh, in which you get like uh, compute power, and also, or you can attach the compute power to different storage on AWS. So for example, if you want to launch a web service on AWS, you would need an EC2 to launch your website. You can go inside EC2 and set up your web system, and then like adjust the security groups to make it accessible from the internet. And in EC2 you can choose different operating systems. You can select from Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. AWS only cloud which provides remote Mac OS, and other than uh, Mac OS, like Linux and Windows are like available on almost all other clouds too.
So, Akhil, can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
So, AWS, so these are the different components of AWS. From layman perspective, if someone wants to host an application or a website on AWS, do they need to get all these components separately, or they just register and get an account just like an email account? They get Amazon AWS account and they have access to all these features like CPU and storage to host their website or even the domain name, etc.
I will give a brief introduction how we can set up a simple website, but this is you can say high level overview of the services which basically AWS provides, and EC2 is the fundamental, you can say, a component we will need. And this is more like a theory, and then after this slide we can jump onto AWS admin panel and try to set up a website or a simple instance on AWS.
Okay, and apart from website, can Amazon Cloud be used for storing personal data, for example, photos or movies or videos, etc.? So can we use it just like a Google Drive or OneDrive, or it is purely for web services like hosting website?
We can use it for personal data, and there are uh, different services to store data. In next slide, I will try to explain that too. So EC2 is highly scalable. For example, you purchase CPU who from market, and it's like 4 GB. It has 4 GB RAM, 2 GB of CPU. Then uh, you actually cannot extend it, or like you will have to increase the hardware. But in virtual environment on cloud, you can just adjust uh, the RAM. For example, you have initially 2 GB of RAM, you can increase it to 4 GB or like 10 GB, whatever you need. Or if your traffic is increasing, you can adjust a storage. You can increase the storage, you can decrease the storage, and it's like everything is on demand. You will be charged on the basis of what you are using, and it the charges are mainly on the hourly basis. Okay, if we talk about types, then there are different types of EC2. AWS provides about 30 by default, you can say pre-made EC2 instances, which have 1 GB, 2 GB, or different uh, type of RAM, CPU based on their needs. For example, few EC2 instances are like free tier, few are used for complex algorithms, few are used for high level uh, computations. For example, if you need to render a video or animated movie, you can use those EC2 instances. Then there is security group. Security group is basically attached with every EC2. It actually controls the traffic which is going to access different ports of EC2. For example, if you are hosting website on EC2, then you need to open the port 80 of the EC2, and then you can access it through browser. If you do not allow traffic, then your instance will not be accessible. And similarly, you can set access to EC2 to different IPs. For example, you have your own EC2 and you basically want to access EC2 from single IP and deploy your uh, website on the EC2, then you can only add your own IP, and later on you can increase, you can open the EC2 to public. Uh, Another important feature of EC2 is like you can transfer the complete EC2 and to another AWS account. For example, you have a website on one account, you who want to transfer to a new AWS account, or you just want to make an image of uh, uh, that instance. You can just make an image and save it, and later on republish it. And then there are reserved instances. Reserved instances, like you can purchase those instances on discount, on discounted price for like 1 month to for 6 months, or for 1 year, and you can save cost if you are sure like you need that instance for like next 1 years. And also there are templates for EC2 on AWS, which you can use. For example, you want an EC2 with WordPress, you can just launch this template, and WordPress will be installed in will automatically be installed in the EC2, and you can just directly start using WordPress for your own uh, business, or for our own service. So if we go to AWS console, this is basically a dashboard of AWS, and you can make a make a new account on AWS through a valid email, and then you have to provide credit card information to make an account. But AWS does not charge any like monthly subscriptions or something like that, unless you are using any of this service. And in the beginning, you have a lot of services have like free tier. You will not be you will not be charged for initial 12 months if you are using free tier services. So if we go to EC2 instances, you can see like there are different regions here. In any region, you will be able to make a new instance, and that instance will not be available in another region. For example, if we select US East, and then there is no instance running, you can select instances. This is basically a virtual machine, virtual CPU. You can click on it. There are a lot of options: pre-made, Windows, uh, Linux, Ubuntu, even Mac OS. There are a lot of pre-default images which you can use to start your instance, and then there are like AWS Marketplace which you can select, and then you can start the image. For example, if we select Ubuntu server, let's say this one, and then there will be different options. This is CPU, memory, instance storage. So you can select any of these. For a normal website, you can live with T2 micro or T2 nano or even T2 small. This is fairly suitable for a normal website. Even e-commerce website can work on T2 small. So if we select this T2 micro, or let's do it, let's do T2 nano, and then we select its configurations. You can select different kind of settings. You can select VPC, which is already there. The default VPC is already there, and then like there are other different networking options you can select from here. And next you add storage. For example, I need to add like 32 GB of storage to this instance. I can change it to different types of volume uh, uh, for the storage, and then you can launch it. Yes, preview. And this is important part. Like you need a key pair to access any instance. This is just like a password to your operating system, and if you do not have this password, you cannot access your instance from like outside. This is something you need to save with you, and give it to developer, or like use it whenever you are going to access this instance. So I can choose an existing key pair, or can create new key pair, and then I will have to download this key pair and save it somewhere, which I can uh, like from where I can retrieve later on. So basically, our virtual CPU with 1 GB, 0.5 GB RAM and 1 CPU is up. So if we go to Ec2 instances, we can see one instance when it will be running. It is launching, so it will take about a couple of minutes. No, it is already up. So we can see like this virtual system is already up. It has like different network configuration. For example, if we go to network, it has private IP of this, public IP of this. If I open this address, it will not work because we haven't configured a security group for it. And if we configure security group here, uh, basically it is really simple. You can SSH means you can access this instance through SSH, through MP. For example, if we go here, so this was the PEM key we downloaded a couple of minutes ago. And if we go there, and select EC2, this EC2, who press connect, and SSH client, we can use this SSH method to connect to this instance. So we just have to just bear with me. So basically you are connecting to your remote machine through SSH. So basically we are inside the instance which we made, which has about zero point 0.5 GB RAM and one virtual CPU, and we can make different like files, directories, and then host our website inside this uh, instance. And then this will be accessible through outside uh, outside the instance later on if we set the security group. This instance is based on Linux. That's why I have to access through terminal. We can actually launch Mac OS or Windows based instance, and you will need Windows to connect to Windows based instance. And for example, you need to install Photoshop in a new instance. You can select uh, instance, let's say with 3 GB of RAM, or like with 2 to 3 virtual CPUs, and then install the Photoshop on it, and access it remotely, and you can use Photoshop or like any other services just like you use on your normal desktop. There are different options in this dashboard. For example, this elastic IP, you can allocate a new elastic IP, and then this IP will be allocated to your account, and you will be basically charged for this IP. You can use this IP on this instance. For example, if you need to uh, allocate this IP action, okay, this is already allocated on our instance, and if you make a new instance, you can switch your IPs, and you can keep these IPs with your account until you want. And then there is volume attached with your instance. You can increase the volume of your instance. For example, if your storage is getting low, or then you can increase the volume from 32 dB to, I think, 5 terabytes.
Do they provide the website, the domain name as well?
Yeah, that this is basically a virtual machine which you can access from outside, host different things, and you can like allocate IP storage, take actually snapshots of your complete virtual machine. And then there is another service which we'll talk in a bit, through which you can purchase your domain and allocate your domain to, for example, a newly created instance here. So moving on, storage. Storage is the necessary part for almost every service on AWS. And if we talk about web hosting, you will need a storage, and in EC2 you come with elastic block store. This is just like a hard drive on your laptop or on your desktop, and you can select from like HDD or SDD, and these storages are like whenever you will terminate your instance, this storage will get removed. This is not persistent. You can actually stop it or and restart it. This storage will be saved with your instance. Basically, it is a remote, you can say a laptop which you own until you are paying. There is another type of storage uh, which is called S3. And this is basically a global storage service which you can use to upload photos or like any other data like videos. Even you can back up your entire laptop hard disk on S3. And S3 is different than elastic block store. If you are using something on EC2 and you want to store the data or store the files for longer period of time, For example, if your something happens and your instance get terminated, and you want to store your data, you can use S3. Uh, Even if you're taking backups of EC2 instances, that is automatically being stored on S3. So S3 is basically persistent storage, and its price is really low as compared to other services like Dropbox and uh, Google Drive. If we go to S3, it is really simple to use as compared to EC2. You just make a bucket here, and it is global. Like you cannot select a region, and the reason why it is global, because this data is like highly persistent, and you cannot actually select a specific region. Why? Because it is automatically getting replicated to different regions internally with the AWS. And you can create a bucket, for example. uh, you can provide different kind of access.
Is bucket like a folder?
Yeah, it's a folder, and you can store up to like terabytes of data. And you can just upload image, zip file, whatever you want to add. Then you can add certain permissions. uh, um, you can block all the public access. You can give access through different APIs. So it is really complicated and simple service for storages. And if we look on internet about S3 pricing, it is really cheap too. So for first 50 GB first 50 GB per month is 0.023 per GB per month. So it is about 23 20 2.3 G 2.3 dollars per GB per month. And there are like different tiers for storage. If we look at this specific S3 Glacier Deep archive, it is like for long time data archiving. For example, you want to store something which you do not require frequently. You want to store zip files or company data which you do not normally access. Then you can store in this service. uh, and if you store the data on this service, you can restore it within 12 hours. Like you cannot immediately access this data, but against this service, the cost is really low. For example, you pay about $1 for 1 TB of data. And uh, like there are different tiers. If you select S3 intelligent tier, then data will can get automatically shift to S3 Glacier, or like less frequent access S3 tiers. Okay. And along with S3, there are different database services. How database is different than S3 Elastic Block Store is in on databases you store really structured data, and then every database has different kind of structure and different kind of like format to store data. The most famous database most famous databases used on AWS are RDS. It's like relational data service, database service. uh, and you can just create an instance of RDS, and then you can take snapshots of your database. For example, if you go here and write RDS, manage relational databases, here you can create new instance just like you created the instance of ec2, and then you can basically query, for example, you want to access email of the user or something like that. Through query editor you can run the query on the database, and also you can take snapshots of your database snapshots. One important thing on snapshots is like for database it's free. If you are paying, let's say, for 20 GB of your database, then you can take snapshots, the most recent snapshot sorry, the most recent snapshot. If it is like less than 20 GB, then you can accumulate up to 20 GB of data on S3, and that will be free, but you will be charged only for the database instance you will be using. uh, there are different databases you can select. For example, you can select among MySQL, which is mainly used, Amazon Aurora. This is similar to MySQL. There are different options to select, and there are different type of tiers to select, similar to ec2. And also you can select other databases too. RDS is one of the databases. So every database has its own purpose, and AWS provides almost all the famous databases.
Snapshot is like a backup.
A database is basically where you like store structured data. For example, you have about 1000 users on your website, and for 1000 users you need their phone number, email, and passwords, and
I
you
think the
store in
question
a
is
data.
about snapshot. So what is a snapshot?
What is a snapshot? Like, is it a backup of database or what?
Yes, it's a backup of database. Like uh, you can take these snapshots manually, or like you can set the automatic snapshots of your database. uh, and this is something really useful when you your website is live and you want to take regular backups of your database for and whatever, like the conversation of the users, or uh, uh, the order history or user information you have in database you want to
Right.
save on your storage, you can save them.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving to domain and email. uh, AWS has a service called
Sorry,
route.
Akil, I have a question.
Sure, sure.
Uh, if you go back to the database option, say for example, I have an IoT device which basically provide real-time data and I want to log it onto the cloud. Is there any database option that could support that?
uh, you have an IoT device, and your IoT device is sending data, basically streaming the data to, let's say, database, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of data it is?
Say for example, it's weather information. It can contain temperature, humidity, sensor data.
And okay, all right, you can use RDS, let's say MySQL, for this kind of data. uh, it depends on how frequently you are sending the data. Ideally what you can do is you can uh, like batch the data of 1 to 2 minutes from the device, and then send it to send in one query to the database, and save the data inside the structured database. You can select any relational database, and make a connection with that database, and just post the data to the database, and later on you can retrieve the data on the basis of your requirement.
Okay, so that means the IoT device can just transmit that data at a specific period of time directly to the cloud, right?
Yes, directly to the cloud. Connecting with database is similar to like ec2 connection. You need to provide, for example, if I go here to my is London. To my console, and I have a few databases. Let's say this one, database stage. You can select this endpoint. You can change it to, then you can select the port number, username and password to this database, and then directly send the information to send the data to this database, and later on you can retrieve the data from this database too.
Okay, perfect. I think that is good to know.
And you can send me more information on your requirement later on, and we can discuss it after
Perfect.
this. Yeah.
Perfect. I will definitely do that. Thank you, brother.
Okay,
You're
just
welcome.
mindful of the time. I think we should move on to the next topic as well.
Okay. So this is this service is basically used for registering domains and emails. Normally people use GoDaddy or other uh, services which come up with on Google, and they use it to register their domain. But AWS has its own service which usually does not come on Google, and you can register your domain here. You can manage different type of domains. As you can like make subdomains. This interface is a bit complex as compared to GoDaddy's or other hosting providers, but once you are like used to it, you can do I think 4 to 5 times more uh, complex or more configurations on your domains on this database, on this service. Also, if we talk about emails related to your domain, you can purchase your emails on Workmail. You can select your domain, and then you can create organization. It's about $4 per user, but it's like domain credibility and availability is really good as compared to other services. It's not as good as Google Mail, but it's definitely picking up in this section too. So we discussed Amazon Workmail. It can be integrated with Outlook and Gmail. Then there is Amazon SES. So if we are not using Workmail, we can use Amazon SES too. Basically, if you have a domain registered with some other registrar, then you can use Amazon SES to send email of that domain. If you have your domain registered on AWS, then you can use Workmail. That's I think the best option. Moving on to advanced topics, I think we are short of time, but I will quickly try to cover it. IAM. IAM is basically, you can say, setting up different permissions to different users. For example, you have an AWS account and you want to give some access to, let's say, 2-3 services to a developer. You can select these permissions through IAM. Lightsail. Lightsail is a really interesting service of AWS. It's basically designed for like non-technology people. You can just like um, mm, create an instance, for example, Windows, Linux. You select like whatever RAM or CPU you want, you name it and just create instance. And then for example, quickly, if we do this WordPress website, let's say this one, let's MUS training. Okay, create instance. It is creating a WordPress instance for us, and in couple of minutes it will be live, and you can start working on your WordPress websites. And also there are a lot of configurations. You can even launch multiple websites and then do the load balancing, set up different, increase the storage, create database, things like that. It's, you can say, designed for non-technical people, and with like if you spend about a couple of hours in this, you can get really expert on it. And it is running already. So if we go to this public IP, it will be up in a while. Like your website will be up in 2 to 3 minutes, and you can start making further changes on this WordPress website. AWS Lambda, this is another interesting service of AWS, where you actually pay only for like seconds you utilized the compute power or databases. It's like you upload one image, let's say once in a month, you will only pay, let's say, $0.001, and you will not have to pay for instances or for other resources you are using for AWS. It's like on really, you can say you're renting a CPU for like milliseconds. It is a really interesting service of AWS. Elastic Beanstalk, it's kind of complex service, but it is basically you can say managed environment in which you can launch multiple instances. For example, if your traffic is increasing, this will automatically launch another instance of the EC2. One and next is automatic deployment. You can make certain pipelines on AWS. For example, you are your developer is making certain changes, and those certain changes will automatically be live on staging server or development server and you can test them. Container services, an interesting service which came recently, and like it has changed the entire industry. Basically, what container service is, you are like packaging your application, your website, or whatever program you have, and that will run on any like operating system. For example, you have a piece of code that will run on Linux, on Windows, everywhere where you are using this container service. Kubernetes, Kubernetes is another, you can say, really interesting service. It's a complex one, but its purpose is like you are launching like hundreds of containers in like within seconds. For example, you launched a website and you want like 10 replicas of your website. You can just run 2 commands and 10 website will be up for your like business or whatever your requirement is. And then there are cloud alarms. You can set certain alarms. For example, your database is not connecting, or like your EC2 is terminated, or your storage is getting full. You can set certain cloud alarms on AWS, and you can get notified on your mobile phone or like in your email. If you talk about pricing, how AWS charges for the other services, it's really simple. Basically, it's pay as you go, and like you are being charged on basis of seconds. You use the service for a few seconds, and you will be charged for only those few seconds. So if we talk about T2 Nano, which can host a website, so its cost is 0.0066 per hour, and if we calculate for one month, it's the cost for this EC2 is about 4.95 per month. Similarly, for T2 Micro, which is slightly more powerful than T2 Nano, and its cost is about 9.9 per month. Similarly, databases, for databases, the cost is also on the hourly basis, and you can select different kind of databases. and it's like price. I think the minimum price for databases is £12, but if you are launching your website or your business is going live, then you should have this separate database through which you can save your data on a regular basis, and basically this component will become independent to EC2 instances. Okay, about AWS certifications, uh, there are different AWS certifications for your career, and you can actually, if you are a technical person and you are a programmer, then probably you can do all of these certifications in like 4-5 years. But if you are like getting started with AWS certificates, so you will have to start with cloud practitioners, and then there are different routes you can go. For AWS solution architect, you will have to clear this one, solution associate solution architect, and then before that you should be clearing cloud practitioner. And these are like more kind of uh, development related certificates. Like you should have programming knowledge, or like a keen interest in programming to pass these two certificates. Other than that, there are specialties. For example, advanced networking. Again, on advanced networking, you will not require programming experience, but it's better like if you have such kind of experience. But there are security certification, machine learning, Alexa. So all these are available like on AWS website.
Are these courses free, or the learning material on AWS website? Is it free, or we have to pay and for
So
the certification or exam as well?
So for AWS certification, there are three levels, and for fundamental levels, you have to pay $100. For associate, you have to pay $150, and for professional and specialty, you have to pay $300. And
Is it
you,
just the exam fee, or it covers the course, the contents they provide as well?
it's the exam fee, and you have the material to prepare for these uh, certificates on AWS. The material is free, but I think you will need certain training or hands-on experience to pass like associate or professional level. Fundamental level is quite easy. You can just go on AWS website. AWS really awesome documentation. You can go through documentation and try to prepare for this exam. And also you can take if you like fail the exam, you can retake it after 14 days.
And if is it necessary to take the fundamental level first and then go to the other certifications, or you can take
Yes.
anyone? Okay. So you have to first take cloud practitioner and then you can.
Yeah. Cloud practitioner is quite easy actually, and you can play with AWS console by yourself and then pass the exam. That is, you can say, uh, I actually written here like for fundamental level, if you spend about 3-4 hours daily, if for 6 weeks you can pass it, and after fundamental level exam you can like pass the associate level in like 12 weeks uh, along with your job. And also there are mockup exam. They charge for mockup exam. I think for fundamental it's $20, and for other it's $40. And also there are a lot of other resources available on internet for free of cost. If you have passed solution architect exam and you are certified solution architect on AWS, then its salary is about, I mean, I only looked on internet, and the promising numbers like which I can quote here are about 80 to 90,000 pounds per year in UK, and above 120, 130 $1,000 in USA. And I mean, uh, it is really demanding skill in next few years. And if someone with keen interest in getting these certificates, spend like 1 to 2 years on these certificates, and they can achieve it. And if they have like hands-on experience of couple of years, then obviously they can look for this kind of salary.
Just a quick question. Is there a prerequisite for the associate level exams? Do you need industry
Yes.
experience? Yeah.
No, you do
No
not
industry
need.
experience
No,
required.
you just
Okay.
have to pass exam. There are multiple choice question. You have to take the exam online, and if you pass it, you will get a certificate. I think it will be present on your LinkedIn, and you will get a link for your certificate, which you can show to different people or companies.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so finally, AWS credits. So AWS provides free credits for startups or for new businesses. If the new businesses like fulfilling these requirement, you can like register on AWS Activate and try to uh, get these AWS free credits. And they are about $1,000 per free AWS credit for 2 years. And you can actually uh, if you get awarded with these credits, you can use these credits to prepare for AWS certificates. And also along with that, you have $350 worth free support credits too. And if your business or startup is like affiliated with accelerator or with incubator, then you can actually avail up to $100,000 free AWS credits. It's available on this website, AWS Activate.
Yeah, I registered new accounts and I got $1,000 credits for my account, personal account. But I have seen recently, so they have started charity or non-profit organization accounts as well. So they are offering uh, $2,000 per year for non-profit charity organizations. So you have to provide them with some, I think, charity number, etc. And maybe they call you to verify, and then the charities can benefit from it.
Yes, for charities, there is I think special package. They haven't advertised it on their website, but
It is now
yeah.
available. So it's quite
Okay.
recent. So I've seen it.
Okay. Also, one of my friends actually tried to avail these credits, and like it was a fairly new business, like 1 month old business, and AWS also awarded credits to that business too. So I believe it's easy to acquire these credits. And what's next? AWS documentation.
These credits you can have for personal account as well. Yeah?
You can get on your personal account, but you will have to show you are going to use these credits for which business. You need to showcase your business websites or LinkedIn profile. So there's a complete form. Let's try it out. AWS Activate. So founders package, get started. This is a portfolio package. When once you are like associated with someone, some organization, that you can avail the bigger package. So verify account. If this account already has credits from another organization, So I'm not sure like if it will work or not. So let's see.
Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward
Yeah.
form, so nothing
Yeah. So
complex, so we can try and avail from the credits. You said the credits can be used towards certification fee as well.
no, you
No?
can use these credits to prepare for this
Okay.
exams, because you need to like set up different things. For example, if you're setting up
Okay.
EC2, this will be covered in the credits. The instance which I just launched, it is costing me some money, but it is being covered through the credits which I have. Okay, all right. So there are a lot of resources available even on YouTube, but I believe AWS website is the most trusted, and you can say it has the maximum content for training. And then there are like webinars, video tutorials on AWS website, and then there are different websites who actually provide different courses to prepare for these exams or like to understand AWS. Two most famous one are Cloud Academy, and Cloud Guru. AWS reInvent is basically a seminar. In past, like you can attend seminar in different cities, but now all the seminars are like online, and you can register for them on your AWS account. Yes, thank you very much. I think I hope it would have helped you to get the basic understanding on AWS. And if you have question, you can ask me.
I guess there's no questions. Just one comment at the end. So I recently registered with AWS and I'm going through their training material. It's really good training material, a lot of videos and like questions and study materials are quite interesting. It's not boring as you may think. If you plan to start getting into AWS, you can start directly from their website, as Akhil mentioned. And finally, thank you to Akhil. He's a bit under the weather as well, but he decided to deliver this webinar. So thanks a lot. And thank you very much to everyone who joined. Inshallah, we'll share this on YouTube as well. It is already going live on MUS Facebook account.
MashaAllah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hafiz.
Hafiz.